Smash Bros. Needs no introduction. This is one of Nintendo's big franchises, a system centered by itself, and you even hear non-Nintendo fans talk positive about Smash all the time. I used to be very big on it myself too, but I've kind of fallen off on it. Well, I should say, I don't really play the games anymore, but I still consume a lot of Smash content. I don't really watch much gameplay or tournament VODs or whatever. I kind of focus more on the discussion topics, like, stage list, niche item trivia, and stuff like adding characters. The reason why I don't play anymore is because Smash feels like it's dropped the ball when it comes to certain aspects. Particularly, a lot of characters are represented pretty poorly, and heck, some series in general are lacking quite a bit. With the release of Metroid Prime 4 on the horizon, Metroid's kinda been in the spotlight recently. And as a longtime Metroid fan, it's really easy for me to see the problems with Metroid representation in Smash. It's not as egregious as something like the Zelda series, admittedly, but it's still not great. So today, I'm here to talk about it and see what ideas I can throw in to make it better. Subscribe if you enjoy, and let's begin. The most important part to get right with Smash representation is in a character's moveset, and we already run into our first problem. Samus's moves made sense in Smash 64 when the newest game in the series was Super Metroid, but nearly 30 years later, the moveset is starting to show its age. And honestly, even with that in mind, there's some decisions that I don't fully agree with. So we'll get to modernizing a bit. Note that I will only be talking about moves that are being changed. Any move that I don't talk about will remain the same. I'm also not too concerned about the balance aspect of things. I just want to get the concept first. The balancing can come in later. The first thing we're gonna be doing is adapting some moves from her newest studio outing, Metroid Dread. Specifically, we're adding her melee counter abilities. Her forward tilt, forward air, down tilt, and dash attack will all include it in some way. Forward tilt is the most basic version of it, just swinging her arm cannon in place. It's actually a decent combo starter with a big hitbox. Forward air will be the same thing, just in mid-air. It's harder to follow up on, but it's still very much doable. Dash attack will take the dash counter, which won't be a combo starter, but instead, a kill move on its sweet spot. Her down tilt's a little different though. It starts with her doing the slide, and then if you press A again, she does the kick counter. This one's more of a get off me tool than anything, kinda like the Belmont's down tilt, so it'll be the fastest of these. For the rest of her normals, her down smash will actually have the same motion that her current down tilt does, but the radius of the explosion will be much bigger. This is because Samus actually uses the diffusion beam now. It won't be big enough to cover too far behind Samus, but it is still a very strong move regardless. Her forward smash also uses the diffusion beam, though the sweet spot is unchanged, and the sour spot just gains more coverage. The last of her normals getting any changes is a neutral air, and yes, we're putting the screw attack there. It'll actually behave really close to the screw attack item already found in Smash. Fast startup and can be followed up in, but not much kill power anymore. And just for kicks, I also changed her back throw animation. Instead of throwing opponents back, she yanks them back the same way she does to the blocks in Samus Returns and Metroid Dread. Functionality wise, you get a slightly lower launch angle, and that's about it. Of course, I couldn't leave my boy Speed Booster out. I'll admit, I very much took this idea from this one mod that reworks Samus to be more Dread-coded. I don't fully agree with everything in it, but I love the way they adapted the Speed Booster into it. If she runs passively for a while, it'll kick in, adding a hitbox to her run. You can jump with it, and if you land, you can still keep your speed. If you press down while running, you can start it into a Shine Spark, do a neutral jump at any point, and after about a second she will blast off into any of 8 possible directions, with a very strong hit. But the setup makes it less useful for combat than it seems, so the movement benefit is one of the better aspects of it. And now for the specials, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get the simple ones out of the way first. Side B is unchanged, don't really need to alter the missiles. However, obviously screw attack can't be up special anymore, so we need something new. So instead, up special is now a high jump and space jump. When used on the ground, it will behave similar to Min-Min's grounded up B, and Samus will do a very high jump. You can still double jump onto your aerial up B afterwards. When used in the air, Samus will do a space jump, which is basically a third jump that goes a little higher than her typical double jump. She doesn't go into free fall after it, but you can't use it again until she lands. This does mean you can use it and then follow it up with your grapple beam for a tether recovery. Down B is also fairly simple and fairly obvious. It'll be a proper morph ball mode. Pressing down will put you into the morph ball, and from there you can move left and right, do a single jump with the spring ball, and if you press A or B, you will drop stationary bombs where you are, which will explode after about a second. You can only have 3 bombs at a time, and you can bomb jump a little bit, but not infinitely upwards. You can get out of Morph Ball at any point by pressing shield. By far the biggest change to her moveset will be her neutral special. Instead of being the charge shot that she's had for every Smash game, it will behave closer to how the charge beam actually works in the Metroid games. You can run around with it, aiming in 8 directions, and your moving jump gains a hitbox at a full charge, though it's not very strong. Uncharged shots are pretty spammable, but they do very little damage and don't even cause a flinch. Charged shots, however, will freeze you? Yes, this isn't just the charge beam, it's the ice beam. For how critical it is to the series, I'm surprised it's not part of her moveset already. A fully charged shot will freeze opponents, allowing for potential follow-ups. Do keep in mind though that this move is no longer going to be a kill move. However, it does have a special synergy with your dash attack. If you dash attack a frozen opponent, they will actually get extra damage and knockback, making it a really good finisher. But you have to make your way to them fast, since they won't be frozen for very long. It won't be the crazy insta-kill that it is in Samus Returns and Metroid Dread, but it's something. Technically, Final Smashes are special moves, so this fits the category, though the change here is only cosmetic. Instead of the Zero Laser, she'll use the Hyper Beam, specifically the one used at the end of Metroid Dread, Metroid Shield included. And the ending of it can even have the purple edge fly into her and bring her back to normal, but the functionality is exactly the same as the Zero Laser. One last thing about Samus that's gonna be changing is her ults. People really like the Metroid Dread design, so it makes sense to devote half of her ults to it. Specifically, the cyan, green, pink and purple will use the Dread suit design. The other four will use her current design, which I know not everyone likes, but I think it looks clean, so I don't mind it. The actual colors of the ults remain exactly the same, except for the last black and yellow ult. That one will be replaced with the red one with the purple visor, in reference to this new suit that she's getting in Metroid Prime 4. Okay, if you thought Samus was disappointing in Smash, Dark Samus truly is on another level. Not only is she already embarrassing Echo Fighter work even with the new animations, but the moveset she's copying isn't even good. Sure, you could just update Samus the way I just suggested and have Dark Samus keep the legacy moveset, but that'll be boring. Let's do something new. People memed about Dark Samus' assist trophy in Smash 4 being more curated than her actual ultimate moveset, so let's bridge that gap a little bit. Her up and down smashes are going to be the same moves she had as an assist trophy in Smash 4, just watered down a bit. They still have great coverage, even if they're not as massive as shown on screen. For the up smash specifically, she'll do it from back to front, to differentiate it from Samus' up smash. Her forward will go through a similar deal. The same motion, but she shoots these orbs instead of the fire. Though it does still go from top to bottom, since Samus' no counter actually goes from bottom to top. The rest of her normals aren't getting changed. A lot of Samus' moves were changed already, so the movesets are still fairly different. And besides, she's still an Echo Fighter after all, and she's still a clone of Samus, so it makes sense it will have some similarities. That being said, all of her specials will be changed pretty significantly, so buckle up. Starting with her neutral special, she's still going to use her arm cannon, but it'll be very different. It'll actually match the scatter shot that she has done on some of her boss fights. Hold B, and she fires away. You can aim it up and out a little bit as well. The damage adds up fast, but the shots don't even deal a flinch unless they're practically at point blank. After a while, the shots will diminish quite a bit. So this is basically like Bowser's Fire Breath, but with a little more coverage. Side special goes into an entirely different direction though. Dark Samus being able to summon clones is too cool to only include in the victory animation, so we're bringing it here. Upon pressing side B, Dark Samus will split into two. One is the real player you control, going on whichever side you select from side B. The other is a clone. The clone can attack opponents as well, but it's not very aggressive, opting to move around more. Clone will disappear if either it or real Dark Samus get hit, or if you use side special again, which will send it in the cooldown. If you played Rivals of Ether, you recognize this already. This is Force Burn's side special. And while you can combo stuff with the clone, it's pretty unreliable. It's better to use it for mind game purposes. For her up special, I mean, this bitch can float. Just make her do an omnidirectional float for a little while. Good for mix-ups too, can attack during it, doesn't put you into free fall, refreshes once you touch the ground again. It's so obvious, man, come on. Down special is still taking on the Morph Ball, but she uses a different move. Dark Samus is never seen actually laying bombs with her Morph Ball, but she is seen boosting around with the Boost Ball from the Metroid Prime games. So that's a bit of that thing here. She goes into Morph Ball, and you can hold B to charge up a boost, and let go to release it. You can move to the side while charging, but it's very slow movement. And it does have some start time. Unlike the actual Boost Ball, you cannot launch off until it's fully charged, so it's pretty hard to run away with, unlike some other ball moves. It also functions a lot closer to how Samus uses it instead of Dark Samus, so you won't be zooming across the stage, more like going to a short dash, but it could start combos. Dark Samus' final smash, just like Samus's, can remain the same functionality wise, but give it a new look. We'll be making it look a lot more like the face-on laser she uses in her final fight at the end of Metroid Prime 2. That's it though. For her ults, the Smash Wiki claims that this purple ult resembles Gandreida, one of Samus' fellow hunters from Metroid Prime 3, so we're gonna go a little harder on that. We're also gonna be modifying this grey ult a little bit, so it looks a lot more similar to Gore. I would love to sneak a Ronda's reference in, but but it would clash a little too much with Dark Samus's default colors. Instead, we're gonna be taking inspiration by the other hunters seen in Metroid Prime Hunters. We could turn this yellow altar to a bit more orange with some brown to rough inspire, make the green one a bit more military to look like Weevil. We can also fully go in with this red alt to make it look like Trace. Finally, we can make this pink one into a more pronounced purple to make it look a little like Naxos. Now here's where things get hard. The powers at Samus's, it was really easy to spot out what was wrong with them and try to build towards them, since they have a really expansive arsenal of weapons and abilities. And the real challenge was unifying them together. And spoilers for later, Ridley's changes are even simpler because he's already so close to where he should be. But for Zero's suit, there's very little we can do with her, since the one move that we can really pull from her source material is already in the game. Some could argue that her playstyle is covered, so she shouldn't need to change at all, but I don't know. Her current design doesn't sit right with me, I don't know why. Let's get some easygoing changes first. This red alt is cool and all, but we're gonna make it a little more pink and we're gonna make her green in it. This is in reference to how Samus without her suit looks in the original Metroid, the Justin Bailey alt. And we're adding a third alt that's a two-piece suit, though it'll be black this time. This is in reference to Super Metroid. You could replace the existing black alt, but I've always heavily disliked the dark blue alt since it clashes pretty hard with the light blue, so get that shit out of here. Her final smash can also be changed a bit. Now I hate cinematic final smashes, mostly because of how overused they are nowadays, but I couldn't really think of a better way to incorporate this idea. This final smash will start by having the baby Metroid, at its full size, fly through the screen, similar to how Captain Falcon and Duck Hunt do it. It can only grab one person. If it hits more than one, then the rest will just go flying. The cinematic will send the card opponent to Torian, while the Metroid will drain their life a bit. Then Mother Brain will pelt them for more damage, right before the Metroid drains Mother Brain's energy, then gives it to Zero's at Samus, now holding her amp cannon. Then she'll shoot one shot of the Hyper Beam to the opponent, launching them away and ending the cinematic. Considering how attached Samus is to the baby, especially in other M, it makes perfect sense for Zero's at Samus to have a final smash that's based around the baby in some way. The rest of her moveset though, I have no idea. Again, I'm not too big on it, but there's very little to pull from, and the few things that they didn't have to pull from already got adapted pretty well. I guess the most I would say is to bring back her old brawl forward smash. I don't know, man. If you got any ideas in the comments, then let me know. And then there's Ridley. Ridley. Once too big for Smash, now fairly modest? I honestly don't think Ridley's too far off the mark. His sizing and model are actually a pretty good compromise for what Smash needs. But there's still a few aspects that I really don't like. I know I said balance wasn't really too big of a concern here, but I had to make two exceptions here. Why is Ridley's weight what it is? Why is he lighter than Samus? Why is he not a super heavyweight? And then the second one, why is his air mobility so terrible for someone that's meant to take off into the air a lot? These just don't make sense to me. So they're both getting buffed. Ridley will now have excellent air mobility and be a true super heavy, though he might be the lightest of the super heavies. Compensate whatever you want, or honestly just don't, because Ridley is not that crazy in the meta right now. Let him vibe. Now for his actual moveset, there won't be that many changes, but let's do some cool ones. For his dash attack, instead of a bite, he would use a claw swipe, similar to the one used in the Meta Ridley fight in Metroid Prime. The actual functionality is mostly the same. Another attack with similar functionality but a new look is down smash. He still jumps in the air, but instead of slamming his wings, he shoots a fireball that quickly spreads in a circle around him, similar to this one attack that he does in his fight on Other M. The last normal getting changed is, of course, his down air. Do I even need to say it? Why does he not have his iconic tail pogo already? And yes, you can use it to pogo off opponents and even the stage in this too, though hitting opponents would only allow for basic follow-ups, and not hitting them could be very punishable. For the specials, his little special and side special are fine as they are, but his up and down specials are getting some adjustments. His up special will now finally allow you to go at more angles, similar to the Spacey sub specials. Any angle that's more than 45 degrees below will still spike. His down special will actually not have any changes on the ground. It makes sense for him to have a big stabby move, but if you use it in the air, then you have the option to keep holding down during the startup. That makes Ridley stab downwards instead. If it hits an opponent, it will still do the big damage, and both Ridley and the opponent will bounce up a bit, allowing Ridley to do some follow-ups with something like, say, his forward air. If he hits the stage though, then Ridley will latch onto it. From there, holding left or right will make Ridley do a pretty quick dash forward, similar to the one that he uses in his Brawl boss fight and in Samus Returns. Hitting an opponent with that would actually be a pretty strong kill move, but it is very telegraphed and horrifically unsafe on shield. If this gets blocked, you will be punished. You can also choose to opt out of the dash by pressing jump or shield instead of a direction, but once you start dashing, you can't stop until the move finishes, so watch out! That's all I wanted to do for the existing character movesets. Though I also wouldn't mind seeing new characters that aren't a variant of Samus or Ridley. Not gonna be making new movesets here to not bloat this video, but I've seen people suggest the idea of characters like Psylocke or even Beak to make it to Smash, including some making full-blown movesets for them. I think it'll be pretty cool to see, but it's not really super necessary. But representation isn't just about characters. There's a lot of other aspects that can kinda skew representation, such as the stage list. Now I'll admit, current Metroid stages aren't actually that bad. Frigate Orpheon is one of my favorite Hazard's Off stages in the game, should have a tournament legal. Brinstar Depth is a mess, affectionate, and Norfolk can be pretty fun in casual matches. Though it is a little weird that we do not have a giant maze-like map, gate curve offensive style, that's part of the Metroid series. It would absolutely suck to play on, but it makes sense for the Metroid series to have a stage like this. We could also add some of the multiplayer arenas for Metroid Prime Hunters, though that would likely need some heavy reworking to function. Maybe also add a stage based on recent games, like an Emmy Zone or something from Planet Viewers. But honestly, the count is fine, and the representation ain't bad either. What I do take a bit more issue is with the music, however. Not so much for existing remixes. You can never go wrong with Ridley's Brawl remix, and Smash 64 blessed us with this beautiful rendition of Brinstar. But the latest game to get a Smash remix was Metroid Prime from 2002. We could absolutely afford to remix some more recent stuff. Dark Samus' Prime 3 battle theme, Emperor Ing, Chelsea Laboratory. Maybe we could even take something from there and make it not be too bad, since that game's soundtrack is infamously not great. Anyway, that's it for this video. The Metroid series usually isn't one that gets a spotlight when it comes to Smash rep discussion, since you often see how good or poorly other franchises get it. But I've always felt that Metroid rep was pretty underwhelming, so I figured I'll get something out to talk about it. But what do you guys think? Do you think I did a good job modernizing it? You think rep is fine as is? Or would you have approached it differently? Let me know in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it, thank you all so much for watching, and take care.